Hi, and welcome to the Best Fleets podcast. This month, we are speaking with TransLand, who is in their fourth consecutive year as a Best Fleet. And I'm pleased to be joined by Rebecca Anderson, Director of Recruiting, Marketing, and Communications at TransLand, and Mark Walker, who is the Chairman and CEO of TransLand. And they're a for-hire carrier based in Stratford, Missouri. They're just outside of Springfield, and they have about 200 drivers and about 50 owner operators. And I'm sure you're going to correct me on the count, but that's the last count that I got. And they're running drive-in and flatbed. They operate in 48 states, and they've been in business since 1982. So, first, let's talk about more about Transland itself. Did I get the count right? Did I get the driver count right?
Yeah, it's close enough. It fluctuates a little bit, but you're in the ballpark.
Okay, good. I'll get the official count in September. Yes. When we go back into 2026, best fleets to drive for.
Right, right.
So, your parents, Mark, founded the company with one truck and three employees. So, who are those three employees? Do you know?
Well, my dad, my brother, who had just graduated college or was soon to graduate, and somebody else.
Some other guy.
So somebody that probably drove a truck.
Well, yeah, well, it was kind of, it's weird that you had one truck and three employees. So I imagine that people had different jobs, or I know what it's like when you're doing that kind of startup. Everybody does everything. But as you grew up, that trucking, like Transland was like the other child, right?
Well, I was out of college doing my own thing when TransLand started. Uh,
Oh,
when I grew up, Dad was working for an LTL carrier called Frisco Transportation. They were the trucking arm of a railroad company, and so there were several of Burlington Northern had a trucking arm, et cetera. So
all right.
yeah,
Okay.
I saw all I wanted to see of trucking and particularly LTL as a kid.
So did you think you were, so what was the other thing that you were doing? Like you were saying you said you're doing your own thing. So what was that?
Yeah. When I graduated college, I wanted a big corporate job. I wanted something white collar. I wanted to go, just, conquer the world. And so um, I started out in the management development program at Southwestern Bell.
Ah, so you were kind of, that is interesting because I think when I first met you, that kind of, you had that air a little bit about that and I think you told me that you had been in management and like, I can't remember the exact conversation, but that's really interesting. So how did you end up getting into, taking over the company?
Yeah, it's a long road. You don't want to hear all about it, but um,
Short, the condensed, the Coles notes.
yeah. So I've been here for 12 years.
Okay.
And so essentially, I'd had a couple careers, a nonprofit leadership career, 23 years with Southwestern Bell, left right before they became AT&T again. And then I worked for a high tech company in Silicon Valley for a few years in their corporate community. I led their global community affairs organization. So that was kind of my dream job and got to travel around the world doing neat things and I ran their corporate foundation. And so I reached a certain age, and the semiconductor industry has cycles that no one in trucking would ever believe, because they're a whole lot worse than trucking cycles. um, that's not to say you should make light of the trucking cycles, because they're pretty bad, but I'd reached a point where I was able to take an early retirement offer. And then shortly thereafter, mom and dad had an offer for me to come back home and get involved with the family business, the job I really never wanted, but saw that, here's this family resource, this jewel that mom and dad are really proud of, and it has a great legacy. It could have an even greater legacy. And so my wife and I kind of just threw caution to the wind and decided to come back home and get involved.
So that do you find that that's really interesting? Because most people, when your parents have a company, then, and especially in trucking, then you're just sort of following the footsteps. You're washing the trucks when you're a kid, and then you kind of move on to, being part of the company. So you're very, very different. Do you find that your experience is actually helpful in your role now in leading or helping to lead, because Laura Gates is president, but
Yeah.
helping to lead the TransLand, kind of, I don't know, is there any connection that you can talk
Well,
about?
yeah, I think leadership skills are transferable across all sorts of industries. And certainly I learned that here. And I just had the benefit of gaining a lot of management experience, union companies, a lot of different organizational development skills from the different jobs. And those, it doesn't matter what your widget is, those things are very transferable. And it also kind of teaches you to lean on your people and empower your people. And so I was able to kind of try a number of those techniques when I came into the trucking world. And the drivers were pretty good to tell me when I first came in, because everybody knew I wasn't from trucking. They knew I didn't know a thing about it. But a couple of the old sage drivers just said, Mark, don't worry about it. Just do what your dad did. And I thought, well, that's great. I wish Dad could tell me what Dad did.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what did Dad do?
Yeah,
But
but
that,
we that's the kind of the philosophy we did it, and Dad's main philosophy was treat everyone the way you want to be treated, and take care of your customers and take care of your employees, and be available for them. And so that recipe kind of worked. We had to tweak a few other things, but that recipe worked pretty well.
yeah,
Um,
I guess but when you were in your previous role, especially in Silicon Valley, I mean, that is, and you're in charge of a global organization. That is a whole different ballgame. And when you because you've kind of come into a different, it's like a different ecosystem, I think. I always talk about trucking to people who aren't involved in trucking as the alternate universe.
yeah,
It's very, it's people are the same, and I totally agree with you. Managing people is the same thing, but just the what is important and how you go about it. Like, would you agree with that, or you can disagree with me about the alternate universe thing?
yeah, no, I think it's very important. And I in one of my kind of part-time roles with the Missouri Trucking Association, I help lead their Missouri Trucking Leadership Forum. I kind of facilitate that, and that's absolutely one of the lessons that I try to impart to those participants is, these are skills that will serve you in whatever role you're playing. But certainly it's the people skills and it's the people part of our business that separates the good from the great. And so yeah, that's really what we're trying to do. Another thing I learned early on in this role with TransLand is talking to my colleagues across the industry, those with family-owned businesses. Many of them required their family members to serve at least 5 years with some other company. It could be
Oh,
it could be inside the industry, it could be outside the industry, but they really encouraged them to gain some insights from the way other businesses operate before they came in to their own family business. And I think all of those kind of just experiences help serve us all well. And I use my nonprofit experience every day in this job. I use my high tech role experience every day, and I certainly use all the different customer service skills that I developed in my first career in the phone business. So yeah, it's just, and they've all kind of come into kind of gelling, if you will, right here with the trucking world. It's pretty neat.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of interesting because you have so many varied experiences, and it does end up as the skill set is kind of, it's not industry specific, but it is very much people specific, which is why I think you're one of the best fleets to drive for, is because you sort of understand that the people are really important. Um, what so going to Rebecca, as the Director of Recruiting, Marketing, and Communications. So you've been with TransLand since 2015.
Mhm.
And how did you start at TransLand?
Yeah, great question. Well, it's actually Mark. So he reached out and asked if I knew someone who'd be interested in a communications position. At that time, I was also working nonprofit, a human service agency. Really enjoyed that, but was also looking for more, some growth. And this job, I passed it along to some people. I thought, hopefully for them. But then I thought more and more about it and thought, how hard can trucking be? It's easy, right? Applied. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. Learned a lot, obviously. And what was really exciting about that role was I got to help lead the community involvement. That's what really sparked my interest with TransLand is how involved the company is in our community with our own people as well as other nonprofits in the area. So that really spoke to my soul, and my role has just grown and changed from there.
Oh, nice. So, okay, so you started as communication specialist?
Communications manager, then added on marketing, and then tacked on recruiting as well.
Just tack on more.
Yeah,
And Mark, what are you doing?
exactly.
So that's interesting. So how have you, and we'll talk about this in a second, about what you're doing with the ATA lead program. But how have you seen the company change in the time that you've been there? Like it's been, I guess you've had your 10th anniversary or it's coming up.
It's this, I think, next month, so we're almost there. Yeah, yeah.
So how has the company changed?
Oh my gosh, so much. It's huge change. Obviously, I came in shortly after Mark had taken over the company, and just seeing the growth and change of our focus as a company. We've been way more people centric, and Laura has even, amplified that as well. She's been at the company for more than 20 years, has plenty of experience with TransLand, from then to now and where we're going in the future. So it's been really fun to see that, and I see us getting better and better every year.
Oh, nice. So, and like I just mentioned, the ATA lead program, like this is the American Transportation Associations, or no, sorry, American Trucking Associations. My goodness. This is a program that they have for young leaders. And how did you get involved in that? It's an interesting, well, actually, the lead program, there's a couple of programs that TransLand is involved with, but let's talk about the lead program first.
Sure. So I actually just finished the Missouri Trucking Leadership Forum that Mark leads last year. So I was in the inaugural class of that. And as that was wrapping up, it was suggested to me. I know Andrew Walker, who's also completed the lead ATA program here. So it's been part of the company, and was kind of looking for what's next and was super excited that it was mentioned that I should apply. I had a friend who completed the program last year, so he gave me some really good insights. And it's been a phenomenal year so far. We're almost to a full year. We're about three-fourths of the way through it. And I've met some amazing people in all different parts of the industry, whether they're other carriers or more manufacturers. And we actually just completed our lobbying days in Washington, D.C. about 2 weeks ago. So that was the most recent trip, and I think a highlight for everyone's time.
Oh man. So when you were lobbying, like what did you visit particular, like did you go to your representatives, like the Missouri representative and go visit and that kind of thing? What else did you do?
Yeah, so I mean that was really it. It was kind of the 2 days. It was a really short and sweet, but they jam-packed us full of a really great agenda. We were kind of paired within like states, so it was Missouri and Iowa. We were together and really got to go and speak with them. Kind of prior to going in, we got a quick education on the topics that are important in the bills. That way we could all kind of find our niche. And so we went in with our agenda. I knew, workforce development was something huge that obviously makes sense. So I had lots to talk about with that, which was really exciting to talk to our representatives and senators.
Oh yeah. So that's obviously a big highlight. How much time does it take away from your regular job to do the program?
Yeah, I mean, the meetings are not, super often. We've had, I think, three so far and have just one more coming up. So they're great. They're kind of an addition. It takes away, obviously, for your being in the office, but it's something that's easily manageable.
Oh, that's very cool. So the other program that you're involved with ATA is the America's Road Team Captain, which I always think this is a very cool program. I've always thought this, and I really like the fact that there's more women drivers in the group, and Molly is one of those. How do you, and this is a question for Mark as well, like how do you actually start getting involved with that? Is that an application process as well?
Yeah, it's absolutely an application process. And I think, it helps, you get your company known, your networking, using some of those skills to kind of see what the opportunities are. Then it's kind of knowing your fleet and your driver's strengths and which ones might have the highest likelihood for success in the process, and kind of just, does your company kind of fit the pattern of, yeah, we can afford to let someone kind of do this for a while. So from a time and resources standpoint, and the driver has to be willing to do it too, right? They need to be excellent spokespeople. They need to be conversant about their professional driving career. They represent the industry when they go around and doing things. So you want them to have a degree of polish in that regard. And we felt like we had several that could do well, but Molly definitely stood out for us as a candidate that we thought would do a great job, would serve the industry well, and serve TransLand well.
And how has she been like? It's too bad that we don't have her, but how has it been going? Because has she only did it this year? Was it last year as well?
So she was selected, I believe it was last January, I think is when the selection officially happened. And she's typically doing an event or so per quarter. She actually has an event coming up in a couple weeks where they're going to Washington, D.C., doing a call on Washington, the Women in Motion. So she'll get to go with other road team captains as well as other women in the industry to go speak to our representatives, which is super exciting.
Yeah. Are they going to do the trucks on the lawn
I
again?
think so. They
Oh,
used to do that. So I hope they get to, because that's something that also Molly gets to do is drive those trucks to those events and speak with other people in the public about trucking.
that's cool. So what would you, because you're relatively small, like, in the grand scheme of things, you're in the smaller company sector. You know, do you think that it's important for smaller companies to get involved with associations and do these things? Like why would you do that if if you're not that big and you can't make that much of a difference? Like what's the reasoning behind it?
Yeah, I think it's multifold reasoning. First of all, and I know my dad was a huge proponent of this, but we may be small, but our voice is as important as the larger voices in the industry. And it's important that those of us in this category, and we've got opinions, we've got perspectives. Our issues are different than the 5,000 fleet trucks and the 10,000 fleet trucks and the mega fleets. So yeah, we need to make sure our voice is heard. Um, and but we also benefit from all of the wonderful policy work that's being done by our industry associations. And I just think there's a little bit of an obligation, a sense of we owe the industry to be involved since we're benefiting directly from it, and I think it's natural. And I think thirdly, our business is served better by us playing some type of role, whether it's just active participant, being engaged, being mindful of what's going on, or playing some kind of leadership role. But our business absolutely benefits because we're better leaders when we do that. And I think that just kind of flows downhill as to the importance of the overall big picture of the industry.
Yeah, that's that kind of comes like I totally agree. I think that is an important thing to do, even if you think that you don't really have much to say, but just by being part of a bigger voice, you really, there's no reason that you can only leave it to the big guys. Like that's not really going to necessarily help push the industry forward. And the other thing that getting drivers involved, I think, is really important. And like, I really like it when I see fleets who are saying, no, you know what, I'm gonna, nominate my driver as a driver for the month in the state association. I'm going to be part of the ATA lead program, the road team captain program. I'm going to do these things so that not only you, but your drivers can be part of those things. And you talked about, you talked a lot about the nonprofit side and that you are doing a lot, like using a lot of your nonprofit chops for at TransLand. And I know that you've got a lot of community work, and I'm not sure how you want to talk about it because you've got so many different things. So do you want me to? I want to talk about the community trucks, I think, first, because I think those are cool. And I would like to get a picture of them so that we can use it for this podcast, and then you can send me some of your really cool pictures. Um, let me talk about the veteran truck that you have first. So I'll let you do it. Rebecca, I bet you're involved in this.
Yes, I am. How'd you know? So I love the veteran truck. It makes perfect sense for an industry that takes a lot of veterans that come into trucking and transportation. And I think around 40% of our professional drivers either have served or are currently serving. Yeah, huge population. So it just makes perfect sense for us to have a veteran community truck. Just like every other truck that we've had, 5 cents of every mile goes back to a veterans-based organization. Last year, we partnered with Honor Flight of the Ozarks, which is part of a national network which will fly veterans out to Washington, D.C., typically for one full day, completely chartered, where they can go visit all the monuments. They go to Arlington, a really incredible experience. And then my favorite part is on the way back home on that plane, they have thank you cards written to every single veteran that they get to open and look at. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. And then at the airport, there's usually a huge welcome party, everyone welcoming them back and thanking them for their service. We have, it just makes perfect sense. Our people love the veterans community, and then our truck gets lots of comments too. Lee drives our veteran truck. He is a veteran, obviously, as well. And so that truck gets people to talk to him all the time. It's specially wrapped, has every branch on their symbol. So every single, we didn't even forget about the Space Force. So Space Force has their symbol on there as well.
Did you have to do a whole new wrap for Space Force, or did you?
Oh, so we did that at the exact same time. So right before, so I
Oh.
think or right after. So Space Force is included. We cannot forget that. Yes.
So how do you decide who gets to drive it?
Yeah. So it is a community truck. So we're going out in the community. So being smoke-free, nicotine-free is super critical. And then, of course, someone that's going to be willing to go to those events. Molly is one of our community truck drivers, and so is Lee. So they will go to events and represent TransLand, represent trucking, and represent being a veteran for that instance and going in to speak with people. So it's a lot of little kids, kind of getting them to see inside the truck and helping them. So you need someone who can talk to little kids all the way up to adults as well.
Oh, that's nice. And does that like take away a lot from their, being on the road? Is that something that like when so when Lee, I guess you chose him or he applied, or how did that work?
Well, probably a little bit of both, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, he probably applied. Uh, well, no, knowingly, he's a little more reserved, so we sought him out, frankly, and I think we did the same thing with Molly, right? Uh, is we know who represents TransLand very well from their customer service skills, their professional driving habits, and that, and so sometimes we give them a little nudge as to, don't you think you want to apply for this? And but we had several.
A little bit.
So the veterans truck is very popular. 40% of our drivers are veterans. And,
That's
and
that's
so,
crazy.
yeah,
Like, is it because of where you are? Like, do you happen to be by a base or, yeah?
um, I think that's part of it. And then we're a low cost of living area, a nice retirement area kind of thing. So I think you see some of that as well. Um, so it's yeah, I don't have the exact root cause there, but yeah, it's the community engagement through our community trucks has just been amazing. Um,
Do you have like, are drivers involved in like the whole idea about that truck and also the community of the Care to Learn truck? So what is the Care to Learn truck? What is that wrap for?
yeah, so there's a local Springfield-based nonprofit that actually has a mission to serve all of Missouri, but it supports schools, public schools in particular, with supportive health products, hygiene products, hunger products. So health, hunger, and hygiene. And it's a way that each school can have a social services outlet, if you will, for children who just need help, whether it's a new pair of shoes, a pair of blue jeans, a trip to the dentist. And it just kind of hopefully will take some of the embarrassment away, the challenges away from learning. And it is wildly popular in Southwest Missouri in particular, but it's spreading throughout Missouri. And we just had some employees who just had some personal affinity for Care to Learn, and pretty popular. And so they, again, employees wanted us to do it.
Nice. So, and that's the one that Molly drives, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when you say it's popular, is it popular with the drivers, popular with the community, or is it just sort of in general, it's just like something cool?
I'd say more popular with the community in particular. The drivers appreciate it, absolutely, but it's well known throughout the community. And so that's just us being seen as a really important community steward.
Yeah. And that's 5 cents a mile as well.
Yes.
That you donated. I think that's the coolest thing that, when people started, and I don't remember the first time I heard about it, but it wasn't that long ago, with that whole sort of a charity truck where it's generating not just miles for the driver, but miles for charity. I think that's really cool. Um, so when you choose these things that you do, are drivers involved in like which trucks get wrapped and which charities are supported and that kind of thing?
I think drivers as well as all of our employees, we seek their input. And it's there are other things more operational that we seek input on, but I guarantee you, we heard multiple times through our annual employee survey products and just word of mouth that the drivers wanted a veteran truck. They liked our pink truck for cancer. They liked our green truck for Care to Learn, but they wanted something that was kind of their thing. So yeah, this was us kind of paying attention to our employee survey responses.
Which you kind of will, one of the ways to become a best fleet is to get feedback from people. And getting feedback from your driver specifically, but getting feedback from about all kinds of things. It doesn't have to necessarily be about pay and benefits or how do you like to talk to your dispatcher or fleet manager? It can be about, what charity do we support?
Yeah.
And that is one of those things that kind of sets you guys apart, is that you're asking people all kinds of things. And that kind of brings me to the how you selected. I kind of call it, oh, I can't remember, what did I call it? You were, selection by community or by company picnic. Is that what I called it?
No, you called it management system by company picnic.
That's what it was, by
I
management
like
system.
that management system thing. That's pretty cool.
Well, I thought it was really cool that you had this company picnic, and the focus is obviously the picnic, but another focus, oh, by the way, also look at all of these different fleet management systems and try them out and tell us what you like. So, like, Rebecca, were you involved in that?
Yeah, so it was kind of pure luck, a little bit of luck. So we already have a safety meeting on the same day as the company picnic. We know we'll get a lot of attendance. We want to get a lot of attendance for that, and then also tie in the company picnic. And at that moment, we were going through all the different communication devices for onboarding for drivers, and what good way to get their feedback than actually have it at the company picnic. Well, we'll have a majority of our driver force there. And then those who weren't able to go there, they can still kind of get a demo online and fill out a survey online. But we gave them them pins as I walked in, a little piece of paper said, go talk to these folks. They want to talk to you. And man, we got some lot of driver input and a lot of feedback, which was phenomenal.
Well, this is something that they're going to use every single day. So, I mean, they have a vested interest in that. If I would have been, if this was a tool I'd be using every day, I'd be talking to everybody and saying, okay, do you have this? Do you have this? This is really annoying me. I want this. And so, how do you get people to a social event like that? Like, especially one where you want people to have input on something so important. How do
Mhm.
you get them there?
So we pick the dates more than a year out. So lots of planning goes into this. As soon as one event ends, we're already starting to plan on it for the next year. And the picnic, I would say, is a huge, we get a lot of people to it. So it's a huge way to get attraction to get them in. And we bring their families too. So a lot of our drivers live in the area or kind of near-ish to the area, so we can make it possible. But if someone really wants to come to the picnic, we will make it happen. We know plenty of time ahead to plan with our customers as well. And we try to tie it into other events. Like I said, our safety meeting. That way we can get a 2-for-1 and try to get as much driver feedback and input and education as possible.
Did you always have good, do you always have good attendance or is this something that you've decided, okay, we're getting 50% of our drivers, 5 years ago, and we want to make it 90? How, like, did you have that kind of a specific plan?
Yeah, so we track attendance every year with RSVPs and those that are actually able to show up. And we find out, were they just not able to come or were they working? So we want to see the percentage that attends and then how to make it even more beneficial to them. So we've sent out surveys to get their feedback on, do you like this date? Do you prefer these times? What would you like to be incorporated? To really get good feedback because we want to have these events, but we don't want to have the events if no one's going to attend it.
Or only the office staff?
Right.
You want the actual drivers to be able to come as well. I thought that was really that really stands out because a lot of companies don't even know how many people go to any particular event. Do you count them? Like, do you know? Is it
Yeah.
been
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So we can definitely we count it and we increase it and then we find what works well from previous events and we repeat it and bring it back. So I really love this food truck or I love that you had the dunk tank. So we'll bring back those fun attractions that get people to come and get people to talk about it.
so the food trucks you mentioned? So you have food truck Fridays as well. Is that only the summer or all year round? And Mark looks like he really enjoys those. Like, is that something that drivers can actually take advantage of?
Yeah, so whenever we do schedule them, we try to schedule on days that we know when our drivers are going to be here. So it's not just an office perk. Yes, we want to also reward our office for supporting our professional drivers, but every perk that we give, we want to make sure our professional drivers get a chance to also enjoy it.
So, oh wait, I know I asked this, or I'm not sure I did, but is it all year round?
Yeah, it has been in some past years. We've tried to, first Friday of the month kind of thing. So it, yeah, it kind of can work that way.
And you do so much. So you do the charity parades, 4th of July, Christmas, Veterans Day, charity bike poker runs. What is that?
Yeah, so that started with our pink breast cancer truck, and
Mm.
that is a poker run that's done every year with a local organization. So it's bikers, so motorcycles, and they go. It's a 1 day long event, huge crowd, and they get lots and lots of attendance with it, which is fantastic. Yeah,
That's so drivers as well as office staff?
yeah, drivers as well, because believe it or not, a lot of drivers also have motorcycles. If you knew that.
I do know that because I keep hearing that drivers love motorbike. Like this is something that kind of goes hand in hand. Um, the other thing that I really like about what you do is you're getting feedback after the company events, and not necessarily that so how things have worked in the thing that just happened, which is really nice. Mark, do you get a lot of feedback on those? Like, do you get quality feedback or is it just sort of like, yeah, Or Rebecca, if you know more about it, it is sort of like, yeah, I went, it was fine.
Yeah, no, it's quality feedback, Jane, and I think we have a good kind of practice, if you will, of just doing debrief sessions after a project launch, a community event, certainly our picnic and our holiday party, things like that. But Rebecca and her team and our HR team and all, they kind of all pull some people together and do a debrief, and that's just a real important practice. And that incorporates a lot of, just some casual verbal feedback. And if we think we need a little higher level bit of information, we'll do some formal surveys as well.
I think that's kind of coming from your background and all of your different careers, Mark, that debrief is really like right after. Like, don't wait for 6 months or till the next time that you want to start one. Have the debrief right after.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be fresh in your mind for sure, and that'll help give you some guidance if you want to make any changes, or maybe you just need to scrap the whole thing and try something new for the future. But yeah, sure. Process improvement is really important, and
The
yeah,
old cycle, is it Deming?
yeah.
Deming cycle? Okay, so the last thing that I wanted to talk about that I think is really interesting, something very unusual that you do is the job shadowing types of things that you do. And one of them, and I was reading this in your questionnaire about the simple truths of customer service training. Is that something that drivers do as well? This is everybody in the company, correct?
That would be correct. It's
That
every new driver in orientation gets exposed to the simple truths of customer service.
Okay, I like that because a lot of the time drivers are kind of forgotten about when it comes to, when you're dealing with people outside the company and sometimes the internal customer as well as the external customer. So, but that kind of brings me to, and what I was talking about with job shadowing is that you're you're kind of, um, every new office hire has to do job shadowing as well. So it's almost like a cross training program. And the same thing with the internal lease purchase program. You have existing contractors working with people who want to be contractors. So how is that? Because it seems to be like a mentality of that, you can't just learn everything in isolation. You have to share the knowledge. So is that kind of where that came from, Mark?
Absolutely where it came from. Um, and it's a lot easier to say than do, I'll tell you. Um, uh, because the execution points on shadowing and I think and mentoring programs, and I think people you talk to across the industry will probably agree with me that it takes a lot of effort to do the relationship managing of the shadows and the mentors and all that help keep those things flowing smoothly. Um, but particularly lease purchase, we have it's a small group that we manage, but it's important because we have a career pathway, if you will, in our company, and so a driver can see that they can start out as an over-the-road driver, but there's this pathway for them with multiple avenues, and a lease purchase is just one of those avenues, and it's not intuitive to run your own business. You've got to have lots of help and support, and whether it's a one-person business or a 200-person business, you have to have a lot of help. And so the job shadow piece is absolutely designed to help them kind of on-job training, if you will, a bit. And Rebecca, you can add a lot more flavor to that, I'm sure, but
Yeah,
you see it more closely than I do.
sure. So yeah, the career roadmap is huge for professional drivers. That's part of orientation as well. So they are given a map where it starts at literally completing ELDT's training, so completing that school, and then going to someday, be a lease purchase, own their own company, or home daily. We have all the options and we have all the different ways of jobs that can fit someone's different lifestyle, what their current needs are at that time.
And this is like right in orientation. You talk about where they can, this is where you can go here. This is where you could go, 10 years in the future. Well, the job shadowing, have you done the job shadowing? Because the job shadowing is more an office thing, right? Rather than a driver, or do drivers as well?
I would say a little bit of both. So whenever I have brand new recruiters that join the team, I like to get them in the truck. How are you going to be recruiting a driver if you have never been inside a truck and see what it's like and see what the drivers experience? I mean, it's a whole different perspective whenever you're inside the truck and then you can talk to a professional driver and say, "Oh yeah, I've seen that. I know what you're experiencing. I can understand why you're frustrated." Or, "Hey, here's why we're better."
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that's really cool. Did you have to do it when you started?
Yeah, I've done ride-alongs. I know Mark has. He's gone on overnight trips too with some of our professional drivers over the road. I think almost everyone in the office has had the chance to be able to get in the truck with the driver and experience what they experience every day.
Do you also kind of do anything within the office? Like if you've been on, sort of the dispatch side or the planning side? Got
Mhm.
that one too?
Yeah, that's also part of the onboarding too, is to sit with each department and kind of understand their role. It's very easy to be siloed if you come into work and just do what your daily tasks are, but learning how we all work together and how everything is kind of a spider web and every department affects every other department. So knowing how they play a role, is super critical.
So do you find that, like, and I'm just going to do a bit of a shameless plug, but Mark, do you find that the best fleets, because
Yeah.
does the best fleets help with that? Like, is that something that, allows you to start thinking more about that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, Best Fleets, the reason got involved in Best Fleets is we wanted to be a better company. We wanted to be more innovative. We wanted to find ways to grow in the industry. And we had this little theory that a Best Fleets thing would help us do that. And that theory's proven time and time again that it absolutely makes us a lot better company. Um, we want to be a great place to work. We want to be a great place to drive. Um, but we also, when people go home at night from their work, we want them to feel really good about what they've done during the day. And, that's the ultimate accomplishment, I think, for a company is that folks feel good about what they're contributing back to society through, and for us, transportation's an incredibly important part of society. And so, yeah, we're trying to make that happen all the time. And yeah, Best Fleets was that trigger for us. For this kid from Silicon Valley that didn't know anything about trucking, I said, I think we need to learn something about this Best Fleets thing.
Well, I will end it there. Thank you very much for both of you for joining me. And I look forward to talking to you again, I guess, around October, November.
Jane, we have it on our calendar in October, and so we're super excited about that fifth year. We want those 5 golden rings for 5 consecutive years.
Well, I don't know if I don't have actual golden rings, and someone's going to ask for them now. But
So,
keep it up, and I'm sure that I can't promise you anything, but we will see you. We will see you in October. So thank you so much again.
oh, you're welcome. What a pleasure to spend time with you. Appreciate all you're doing for us and our industry.
Yes, thank you.